Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. This is the authorship call that we do on the last Friday of every month. And the premise of this call is to talk about all things publishing and self-publishing. And I have a really cool update for you guys. As you know, I've been like obsessed with self-publishing, and the premise of basically all of the work that we've done in authorship has been about retaining the rights to your story, self-publishing, and all of that. And I was feeling really strongly that I wanted to do traditional publishing for fiction because it's different. Like with my story, I very much wanted to own the rights to that. I wanted to be able to make sure that that could be published in perpetuity, especially because those teachings are really mine. And I was very happy actually with the numbers that we did from the first sale. Now, something weird happened. I'm used to, so the whole point was to do a book drop and to close down the funnel on the 2nd of June, which is exactly what I did. But I guess because the sales did so well on Amazon, they don't usually print inventory. They do drop shipping for it, but they actually printed inventory of mine. And so, I think quite a lot of it, although they cannot tell me the number, even though when you Google, it says that they can tell you the number if you contact their customer service. But anyway, I contacted their customer service and just like, what's the deal? Because I kind of made a big deal about this being like a book drop. And at the deepest level, like when things like this happen, I'm curious to know more information, but I'm not like, oh, my plans have been ruined. Oh, geez. I was like, what's that son? You going to sit with me for authorship for a little bit? Come here and sit right on my lap. Um, there you go. So, yeah, I'm not like, oh my God, my plans have been ruined, but I was like, I need to find out what's going on here. So basically, they printed a bunch of inventory and they're still selling the book. So the book is still for sale, regardless of my plans. And like 150 copies sold without me selling it. But I was happy with the numbers. I did about $25,000 cash in royalties, and those royalties came, partially. I think 50% of my book sold on audiobook. I have 100% royalties for, and then the rest of that all came from the hardcover copies. It was a total of like 1,500. And my potential literary agent, who I'm pretty sure is a go, just because the circumstances were magical, and I'll tell you in a minute, she actually said those numbers are really good. I was basing it on, she was like, those numbers are amazing for a self-published book. So I thought if it wasn't New York Times bestseller status, which is I think 8,000 copies in the first few weeks, that's why so many authors have like pre-ordered lists and stuff, which is not something you can do with Amazon KDP. But I was happy with the numbers of that, and I'm happy with that publishing route for Wheels Reinvented. Although I did want it to go into a lot more hands, I just have a responsibility to sell and keep reselling that book. But I was feeling like I wanted to do something really different with this fiction trilogy because it's something new and it's something different. I couldn't explain it, that I go by how things feel. So I was just feeling like I wanted to do things the traditional way. And as things started to expand out a little bit more and kind of getting some confirmation from some unusual places, I was like, with self-publishing, I'm doing everything by myself. So the cover, I get it made. The edits, I get it made. The formatting, I get it made. I'm not saying I do this stuff personally, but it's to me to make sure that everything goes to print. I'm dealing with like literally every aspect of it. And it's not that it's so much work, but I kind of want to be able to just like crank something out. And with fiction, it's really important for me that the story be very good. So I want people that know I don't give a fuck about giving sample chapters to people I know to read. It's like I want an expert opinion only. So I want to know from people that do fiction, like if the story is viable. And I was just people that know more about it. I want to ask people that know more about publishing than me. And it would probably, like, regarding pay cuts and everything like that, it might actually be quite worth it. So I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm going to open up this idea of a literary agent, but anybody that knows about the querying process, I was like, that I work with magic. these type of, and I work with real magic, but I also work with my husband magic. But this whole trajectory that people are talking about like how hard it is to get a literary agent and putting together this like, it just gave like Tinder energy to me. Like you're going to make this proposal and this query letter and like ask literally everybody if they can represent you. And hopefully you get the right one. If you don't get the right one, you really just have to find the right one. And everybody I know that got a literary agent said that they got really lucky. And I was like, okay, well, lucky to me doesn't mean like blah, blah, blah. And I know so many people that have been approached by literary agents. So I hit up a friend of mine who has had a lot of success in the publishing industry. She hasn't written books, but she's had a lot of success in the publishing industry and she knows a lot of people. And I wanted to find out from her if like life-changing publishing deals still exist because that was the thing. I was like, I want to change my life. Like, I want to change my life. I feel like so much of what I've been doing for the last, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 years has been like just developing sales funnels, building curriculums. I would say that's been the majority of my work has been just creating sales funnels, which have offered me a lot of consistency and agility in the business. But I was getting, can we not in my call? Thank you. Are you, I was getting, oh, show me that with a little distortion on it. But I was getting, oh my, what a strange soundbite to record. Okay, but can we actually not? I was just getting kind of sick of my life. I was like, I just don't want to be doing sales funnels forever. I want to be doing something differently. If you do that one more time, you're not going to be allowed to be in my call, okay? Because it's really important to me to keep the, yeah, but it's important to me to keep the sound nice. Your teeth are going to be coming in soon. I can see them in your mouth. Cool. Um, so it's important for me to change my life because I was just starting to get sick of it. And I'm so grateful for sales funnels. I think it's probably the most useful piece of business information I've learned in the last, I don't know, since launching. Since I learned what launching was, sales funnels are the next best thing that I learned. But I was like, is this it? I really want to do something differently. So the first thing I did was I hit up my friend who has a lot of success in the publishing industry, and I wanted to find out if life-changing book deals exist, and they do. There's a lot of people that are having their lives changed. For example, books being made into movies, getting to travel around the world, book tours that they didn't personally manufacture, like all of these different things. And I was like, that's what I want. I want my life to like surprise and delight me. I want there to be invitations that come my way that are like, we just want you to show up and speak. I want to go to a venue and not know how much the venue costs and not be like, did we hire the right lighting guy? Like I want to just like not know anything about how this stuff is going. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to open up to a literary agent because when I asked my friend that was in publishing, she was like, "Do you think that maybe you just have the door shut on it? Do you think that maybe you're not open?" And when I was thinking about it, I was like, everything about authorship, I feel like I've been very standoffish with people. Like, this is not what I choose. Like, door shut. And the goal with spirituality is to be open to everything, attached to nothing, open to everything, attached to nothing. So it's a trick, mastery is figuring out how to have both of those things going at once, how to say yes to what it is that you truly desire and no to what's not in alignment for you, but ultimately to not have attachments to any way you think something has to go. So after I got off the phone with after I got out of the sauna actually with my friend, I was like, okay, I'm gonna open up to a literary agent and I'm gonna give myself a deadline to start writing this book because I was super depressed after Wheels Reinvented. And I was like, I just need to get back to work. Like I just need to get back to work. But it's so fun talking about writing a book, and it's really not fun writing a book. It's fun like the way that going on vacation with your kids is fun. Like it's fucking shitty basically the whole time. But when you look back at the pictures or when your kids say, remember when we were in Paris? It's so nice to have it like that. But the actual like nuts and bolts of being in a place where you don't have any of your stuff and you're staying in a place that's a lot smaller than your home and your kids won't eat anything and your poop is weird. Like it's nice. That's kind of how it is like with writing a book. It's nice to be like, oh wow, remember when I was writing that book? But during the actual doing of it, it's like not that pleasurable. And so and I just have to get the words on the page. Like no matter what, I just have to get the words on the page. So I had given myself a 1 month deadline, and I had done that publicly, like all my deadlines. I would really say, Pure, this is a good one. The secret to my success and the secret to balancing Kronos and Kairos time, which is what so many people ask me about, is giving yourself a deadline. So many people hit me up and they're like, oh, I'm creatively blocked. I don't understand. How do I do more Kairos time? It's almost never a problem with Kairos time for spiritual and creative people. It's a problem with Kronos time. So have you set a deadline? Have you set a deadline? And a lot of people set deadlines, but their word doesn't mean anything to themselves. So, like, how can you make it public? How can you tell the whole world that you have a deadline? Are you making a lead magnet? Wonderful. Run ads for it now and say that it drops a week from today, and then you're going to be forced to keep your word to yourself. But if you don't have a deadline, your creativity is just, it doesn't have a limitation to come up against and be forced into actualization. You're just dreaming and dreaming and talking and talking. Set a fucking deadline and get it done, because you have underestimated how fluid and how agile your creativity is. When you give it a deadline, it has to be done by this time, by this date. Then you see that, oh, look, I'm not just creative in the morning, I'm creative in the evening. I can stay up till 2 a.m. writing. I can be inspired here, I can be inspired there. But until you give yourself a deadline, it's just like, doom, 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 doom. There's no reason why it should happen now. And if there's no reason why it should happen now, is there a reason why it should happen at all? So you get to make this call for yourself, and that's the magic of a deadline. So I gave myself a deadline, said it publicly, but then I was going back and forth on, am I going to self-publish or not? I was like, I want this author experience. I want to create my own events. We could do it ourselves, but everyone would be forced to learn these things that we don't really know, but we could definitely do it. And that same day that I was going back and forth about if I was, and I think I actually was like, fuck it, I'm just going to self-publish. I'm going to move forward with this. I was on Substack. I'm on a Substack called Agents and Books. And guys, look, like no shade to me. I'm doing my best with authorship, but Jesus Christ, fucking the publishing scene on Substack goes so hard for so cheap. Like, look, the way I talk about it, nobody else can, but fucking Jesus Christ, these hoes are going hard on Substack. Like, I mean it. There is so much cool. These people are running legit businesses on Substack when it comes to spilling the tea about self-publishing and all that. I was very impressed. So I was on a Substack called Agents and Books, and she had wrote that the editor from Simon and Schuster was going to be there, previously from Unknown Press, now works at Simon and Schuster, and she was going to be doing a Q&A. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go to this. I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to pitch. I wanted to see the lady's face when I tell her this new book idea and just see from her face if she's like impressed or not. It's not a question. Cool. It's literally just like a cold pitch to somebody that doesn't take book submissions. And I was like, I feel like I just got to go. It has a magical taste to it. So I go on this thing, and you guys, whenever I show up to a Q&A, like I prep my little friggin' hand down for when it's Q&A first in line, because I don't want to listen to everybody's question. And then I just have a question. I just have a two-part question. I just have a follow-up question. Get out of my fucking way. I'm here to learn something. Let me at them. So I make sure that I'm first in line, then I ask my question, and then I leave right afterwards, because I don't care about anybody else's question except for mine. And if you think that this is crazy, this is actually just what a lot of advanced students do, because they're like, I don't need anybody else's subjective information. I don't need to hear a whole Q&A call. I'm here for what's for me. I'm not here to filter out everything that's not for me. I'm not here because I just want to get FaceTime with the teacher. I'm fucking busy. I've got all of this stuff that I'm doing. I have all of these things that I'm pushing forward. I don't have the time. I'm willing to pay a premium to make sure that I get time that's just for me. And that's why so many people like seek out coaching. And that's why we've had the students that we have at Safe House. Next year is actually when we're switching over to collective Q&A and no longer able to answer every individual person's questions. So if you're a student and somehow you're here right now, like I was somehow on that Simon and Schuster call, you definitely are going to want to get in to school right now, regardless of what workshop we're selling, just to be able to have your question definitely answered every single week for 6 months. This is as close to the one-on-one experience as I offer because it's my eyes on your work, giving you answers to your questions. And sometimes it's teaching you how to answer your own questions as well. But this attracts a very specific kind of student, and I only have 6 more months of this being able to be that offering. So if I were you, I would hop to and make that happen. Pure will make that a clip as well. I'll title that one, so just prompt me, please. So I'm on this Simon and Schuster call. I get through all of, I get through the spiel and whatnot, and they're like, okay, it's time for a question. And my first, the lady was like very, dry. And I was like, I need to butter this lady up a little bit because she was like talking about her cat. Meow, you're very lovingly talking about her cat, fitting my reclusive author archetype. And I was like, I got to butter this baby up a little bit. So I was like, oh, it's like, what's your cat's name? Because authors already have. I was like, I have a two-part question. I was like, authors always have the best cat names. What's your cat's name? And she like looks at me like totally dry and she's like, Monkey. I was like, oh, sorry. Okay. So I was like, all right, I just have to like pitch you this book. So I pitch her this book and she's just like unimpressed, like expressionless. Why are you pitching me? What is this about? Like totally fair, exactly what it's supposed to be. And I'm thinking, why did I do this? Like I know that this isn't the time or the place for it, but like, why do I do this? And then the chat pops off. Someone in the chat is like, I would love to read this manuscript. I'm a literary agent. I'm here with my boss right now. And so I immediately sent a pitch to the literary agent via email while I was there. And I was like, I will have this book proposal into you within 2 weeks. I've already started work on it. Total bullshit. But I was sticking to my original timeline that I told her that I would make. And so from that moment on, it was like game on. So I had to write a book proposal, which I'd never written before, but thank God for the book proposal resources that I have on hand. Saraswati, please prompt me to post that book proposal outline into our authorship so you guys can see, and we'll attach mine as well if you guys want to read it. Thank God I had already done a little bit of work on that, but I was now only with 2 weeks left of the 1 month deadline that I had given myself. And so I did 25,000 words. It was a book proposal and 2 sample chapters. So I did the book proposal in like 4 days, and then first draft of the two of 25,000 words, second draft. I did use Chat GPT only for clearing typos and grammatical errors, and I'm so happy for that. But something I learned from Substack is that ChatGPT uses the M dash a lot, and I immediately noticed that. So the prompt that I gave ChatGPT was change not one word, fix grammatical errors and typos, no M dash. And putting in that specification of no M dash, I think was really key because they were feeding me back a lot of M dash. And I just did all of that at the end. ChatGPT also helped me with there was a few technical things like I needed to describe the drive from Charles de Gaulle Airport to Fontainebleau in France, and I've never done that. So I had ChatGPT describe the drive to me. And then I had asked ChatGPT a couple things that were like kind of dangerous, kind of dangerous because ChatGPT gives you back something that looks really good, but it doesn't actually mean anything. So I was like, can you give me an example of Gurdjieff's like Toast to the Idiots? Because I'd heard a lot about his Toast to the Idiots, but I had never actually seen one written. And it sent me back like five Toast to the Idiots that read like really well. I was like, oh, wow, this is very, verbose. It's very like Gurdjieffian, like stoked. I would love to use something like this. But then I was like, wait, none of these things actually like mean anything, or they do, but they're like the most like blase, like vanilla, like, and I was like, wait, ChatGPT, like, where did you lift this from? And it's like, oh, I made it up. And I was like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like with ChatGPT, you feel like you're getting away with something. And ChatGPT is so full of flattery. I couldn't believe it. I asked ChatGPT to check typos in my book proposal, and it's like, this is a master class in book propositions and all of this like unsolicited praise. And I was like, I understand humans are all suckers for flattery, but I like criticism. So I was like, can we not with this? So, but I realized that that's really like the danger of ChatGPT, because they did this test recently that was like Reddit found out that there were AI bots all through it, and that AI written answers usually perform 6 times better than human written ones. But it's not because there's depth. There's not, it's just because ChatGPT is really good at saying things that everybody likes. And if everybody likes what you're saying, you're not saying anything original. Like, please remember this thing that I've been teaching you for so long. If people aren't mad at you for saying it, you're not saying anything original. So no wonder ChatGPT performs so well, because it's just like a master at pleasing people. And yeah. Hey, Pure, that video I sent you, what's the real deal with the mark of the beast? Have we posted that? Yes or no? Don't post it yet. I'm going to reshoot that one because I feel like I want to add a little statement to that. So, yeah, I just thought that it was really weird. So, don't fall like think about how many people are like, "Wow, writing a book is so easy when I write it with ChatGPT. ChatGPT, write my proposal for me. ChatGPT, write the first chapter for me and then I'll edit it." And I want you to imagine the people whose jobs it is to read book proposals, to read query letters, and how inundated, how flooded their desks might be right here, right now, with a bunch of people that don't actually know what it means to put the work in as a writer, and how irritated that might be with that, and how important it might be for your work to stand out. And if ChatGPT is offering perfection, maybe it's really only something that is humanly flawed and imperfect that will actually stand out. So now, so more than ever, done is better than perfect, because perfect is AI, and nobody wants that. AI doesn't feel anything. AI doesn't feel a little fart. AI doesn't feel anything, and humans want to feel everything. So there we go. All right. So that's how I got my literary agent. I sent her the book. Oh my God, but cringe mode. Pierre, I think that was a good segment too, about using AI for things, AI being rich and flattery and stuff. Pick whatever you like from that one. So uh sent my editor the book proposal, and I had just picked like June 19th because I didn't know Juneteenth was a holiday, or that it was 19th. I don't even know anything about June 9th. I don't know anything about holidays like in general, because I haven't celebrated any holidays since I had kids. And Juneteenth I've seen on the calendar, but I guess I had to Google when it was this become a holiday. It became a holiday in 2021. All of this went straight over my head, but I had like just picked that number out of a hat because the solstice is meaningful to me, and I didn't want to be like cramming a deadline on the solstice. So I made my deadline the 19th of June instead of the 21st, and delivered it right on time. And it felt so good. But I was like, okay, so I'm going to take a week off of writing, and then I'm going to finish my book by the 8th of August. You guys, that week went by so fucking fast. Oh my God. So fast that week went by. And every day I was like, oh, I really think I'm going to get to work a book on this earlier, because, like, da, 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 da. I need to write. I need to just write every single day. If I write every single day, like, I will be used to it. But it is so easy to go back to talking about writing a book versus actually writing a book. And actually writing a book is just not that fucking fun. And I just have to get over it. Like, you have to write every fucking thing down and out. You have to write literally everything out. You can't just write like, oh, cool. Like, if I was writing, when I tried to, because I was like, there's got to be an easy way to do this. I was like, maybe I can write my book using voice to text while I'm out hiking with my daughter. That should work. with writing, you have to describe like every single thing. You have to write things like, I put my pants on, and it feels, and these are all real ass words that go on the page and have a specific placement and have a use and a purpose, all these like, and then when you're writing, more comes to you. But when I was like, oh, I'll write these chapters while I'm going, my entire chapter was fucking 2 paragraphs long, and it was like, I did this and then I did this. And then it's like a fucking second grade book report. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to have to do this the old fashioned way. But I really think that I need to just commit to writing a little bit every day because otherwise, and I do have that really clear deadline for my book. So I gave myself a chapter a week starting today. So I have to turn in a chapter a week starting today. And I was going to release, I was going to release it to Mesoterica as a way of like keeping me on my game. But that if I'm doing TradPub, I'm going to do TradPub. If I was doing self-publishing, I'd get paid for it every way through. But I didn't just make this decision of like, oh, am I going to release it or not? I literally went on my Instagram live and talked to you guys and talked to my audience and was like, hey, like, should I pre-release this? Yes or no? And I was so surprised because you guys all really had my back and you were like, no, don't give it to us for free. Don't give it to us as a bonus. Make us wait. We're happy to do it. And I was really so grateful for that. So Saraswati, don't let me forget to add that book proposal deadline. And what I'm going to do, because I can't give you guys the actual resource from where I got it, I'm literally going to have to give you my book proposal and ask ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, can you put this book proposal method into text form? I'm going to have ChatGPT reverse engineer mine because I can't take a resource straight from a $2,000 course and give it to you. That would be unfair to that creator. But what I can do is tell you that I followed this resource to the nail, ask ChatGPT to aggregate what that was, and then give it to you. So, all right, so that's how I got my literary agent using magic. Pure, that's what we'll title this authorship video, How I Got a Literary Agent Using Magic. And we'll go into some questions now. Great. All right, Saraswati, send it. You're playing PBS Kids, and on PBS Kids, you're peeling a carrot. Can I ask you something? Is it a good time to pause and me ask you a question? Would you rather peel a carrot on the game, or would you rather peel a carrot in real life? Peel a carrot in the game? Now let me ask, oh, you're looking at that nice fine chop. Why would you prefer to peel a carrot on a game? Oh, it doesn't make your hands get disgusting. Okay, that's a good answer. I accept that answer. Reiner likes to chop things in real life, but he calls it going wicked. I go wicked on that thing. All right, Saraswati, let's do it. What are you cutting? A little radish? Oh my God, looks like unicorn food, right? I bet unicorns eat radishes.
What is a great way to start my book about my childhood trauma?
Reconcile that you will probably not be speaking to your parents.
Yeah.
Admit to yourself that your parents will hate this. Hi, Dad and Mom. I'm writing a book about the degree to which I was traumatized in my childhood. See how that goes. But it is like the fucking best form of therapy that's out there. To quote David Sedaris, he's like, some people pay others to hear what happened to them, and other people get paid to tell the story of what happened. And I look forward to hearing every shitty thing that's ever happened to you. I also really recommend reading other people's stories of their lives. I think Demi Moore's book Inside Out is a really great place to start with this because she really spares no detail. One second, please. I'm almost done with this question. No, not excuse me. One second, please. She spares no detail in talking about all of the stuff that happened to her, but she really nails that. Are you sharing your mess or your message? She's very much sharing like a message in the book about how full, there's quite a lot of teaching in there. And she said it took her 10 years to write. It took me 9 years to write Wheels Reinvented. And honestly, I don't think I would have ever been able to really publish that book. I had once it was time to really get that book ready to go out. my mom started really freaking out on me about it and calling me under the guise of like all of these different things. Hey, I'm having a medical emergency. Get on the phone with her. She's like, I really just don't want you to put this book out. She had like hit me up and was like, oh my God, I got this job. I'm so excited about this job. This job is going to be so great. It's at this church. This is what I've been praying. Literally like 40 minutes of talking about this job. And then her voice drops and she's like, but I can't get this job if you're going to publish this book, because if someone reads this book, I'm going to lose my job. And I was like on and on. And finally, when we had the last conversation, she was like, Reiner's going to write a book about you one day and you better be ready. And I was like, I'm ready now. I'm ready now for whatever anybody wants to say about me at any point. But, you know, my mom if my mom raised her children in a very unorthodox way. I'm also raising my kids in a very unorthodox way, but you can't raise people that are wildly different than regular people and have a wildly different story and expect them not to write a book one day. These are the people that write books. But also, on that note, books about the mundane, Harvey Pekar cartoons, for example, um, more people experience the mundane than the like crazy. So there is actually so much room for that. And if you want a really good example of this, at the end of the book, Magdalene manuscript is a piece called One Woman's Story. And it's such a fucking amazing story. But the lady's like, why do I have to write this? Like literally just like a regular woman. Like, why would anybody want to hear this story? It's so good. That was actually like my favorite part of the Magdalene manuscript. Really cool that these two things would happen side by side. These two stories would exist side by side. But nobody wrote their story with like nobody's ever written their autobiography with the approval of the people that were in their lives. Like nobody, literally no one. And think about how many people's lives have changed the world because they shared their story without worrying what other people thought of them. I'll read anybody's autobiography. I read Mariah Carey's autobiography when we were in Richmond, and she opened it up with something that really changed my life. She's like, look, anybody in my family that reads this book is going to be like, Mariah's lying, like, this isn't true, this was this, and that was that. She's like, I'm just telling my story as I know it, as it happened to me, and this is just going to be exactly what it is. And that was that last piece that I needed to go forward, because I was like, what if someone says I'm lying? My family and I have different definitions of abuse. That's fine. That's totally fine. But nobody did it with the permission of their family. So to quote Anne Lamott, infamous quote, but she's like, you own everything that happened to you. That's your story. What happened to you? Don't write about your mom's trauma. Although I might write a fictional account that's heavily, I'm not going to finish this sentence. Um, I'm not going to finish that sentence, but I might have a fiction book coming out about a mom, a grandmother, a great grandmother, and a daughter that may or may not be loosely based off the characters in my own life. So, but Anne Lamott says you own everything that happened to you. And if somebody wanted you to write about them nicer, then they should have behaved better. And that's just the bottom line. So live your life as if somebody might write about you, and honor your choices and do your best to behave as elegantly as possible. All right. Is there more to that question, Saraswati?
Yes. The second part of the question, after what is a great way to start my childhood book about my trauma and all I experienced and who I have become to inspire of the lineage of trauma, abuse, and dysfunction.
This is the same answer
Yeah.
to that question.
Yeah,
That's it.
cool. Next one.
For anybody that's writing about trauma, remember that there's life after trauma, and remind your reader of that there is life after trauma. It wasn't immediately visible to me until I finished the first draft that there really needed to be an epilogue, like what happens after all of this. But there is life after trauma, beautiful life after trauma. Do I look like a bug or an alien? Alien.
You look like an alien.
Take me to your leader. Give me a glass of glorp.
It's on planet Saturn.
Glorp is on planet Saturn. Okay, cool. What song were we singing today? What song?
Phonics?
Were we singing phonics?
Yeah.
Were we singing phonics with silly words?
No.
Ass, a, asswipe, ah, b, baby, b, butthead, We were thinking of silly things with our phonics song. Phonics, phonics, phonics time. Whoa. We were watching and listening to Miss Rachel today. And I think made a reel about this, but I'll just tell you guys, like, so interesting that she really wanted to be a pop star. She wanted to be a pop star. And listening to her stuff on SoundCloud, it's how do you tell somebody? It's not even apparent until you're like, oh, this sounds like children's music. Like this sounds like eating sugar cereal. There's just nothing to it. There's like a message of positivity and like obviously somebody that's really talented on making, putting tracks together and stuff, but it's got no taste. It's just very like, but for children's music, it's amazing. And I just think it's really cool how like everything that you do in your life is training you for what your purpose actually is. I've been thinking so much about purpose because I've tried for so long to help people find their purpose, and I don't think that anybody can help you find your purpose. Sometimes your purpose chooses you. Like if you had told Miss Rachel when she's trying to be a pop star, like it sounds like children's music and you should make children's music, she'd probably be like, no, I want to be Britney Spears. How could you possibly say something like that to me? But then she had a kid who was nonverbal until he was like, I don't think he said mama until he was like 6 years old or something, maybe 4 years old. And as a result, she wanted to make speech therapy videos for kids on YouTube. And she just started with like her green screen. If you look at her early videos, like the camera quality is so bad. It's literally like selfie mode on an iPhone with artificial light, and her background is literally just the green screen because she's like, wow, this works, like this is exciting. And but she started, and like that's the important part. You start from anywhere, but just get started. Like start with something because it'll become clear as you go. And now she's made $23 million off of that. She's given jobs to her favorite people. She works with her husband. She has a line of toys in Target, and she's probably like the most loved children's educational character since like Mr. Rogers. And I just think that that's so fucking rad that she started it in pandemic with what she had. But it's not like the things that you're doing, because she probably felt like when she had to give up on her dreams of being a pop star and like go and get 2 degrees in education, that she was like, I guess I'm never going to make it. I guess I better just go and get a conventional degree and just see what happens. Like it all came together really beautifully. And who knows, maybe my culinary degree will come in handy one day. I'm still trying to figure out. I've tried so many times to bring that from the grave, but it's never really worked, but we'll see. I want to go to culinary school again. I want to go to Ballymaloe with my son Reiner, but can I tell you this? Let me tell you guys the truth because I have to honor my truth right now. I really want to go to culinary school again, but I just don't want to get fat. I'm having such a hard time losing this baby weight. I'm just not patient, I'm just not patient, but I got my new bathing suits and stuff for Costa Rica, and I want to like look the way that I feel on the inside, but I don't know. You know what it is? Every time I eat, I developed like a gnarly kind of gluten intolerance when I was pregnant with Tyga. But every time that I eat gluten, I get so bloated that I just feel like crazy. Like I feel so huge every time I eat bread. And I want to be an example to my kids all the time of like, feeling good about myself and feeling good about myself because I make hard choices sometimes, and my hard choices of like eating things that make me feel good and not just things that make me feel like crap. Actually, hey Wiley, Have you had a day where you ate like tons of sugar? My fucking butt. Of course you have. I think the other day you ate like 100 s'mores. But did you feel super good after eating a lot of sugar, or do you feel kind of crazy after eating a lot of sugar?
They were 20 gallons.
You feel like you ate 20 gallons of sugar? But do you feel good though after you eat sugar? I think that you feel good after you eat sugar too. I think that all the kids I know always feel, parents are like, you'll be sick if you do that. And sometimes you barf on Halloween because you ate too much candy. But like, I don't know. I just want to I want to feel good. I want to feel good all the time. And I definitely want to turn 40 feeling good about the choices that I make. But every time, like, the pasta tastes so good going down. The pizza tastes so good going down. And then I feel like horrible for the next 24 hours. But I just am having such a hard time saying no. Am I a single mom? No. Okay, let's do the next question. Since you guys, we're all here for gluten, right?
I
But I
just
don't, sorry, one second. I developed this in Europe though. So it's I developed this in Europe. I know everybody's like, oh, in Europe, the grain and stuff is different, but I was pregnant in Europe. And when I'm with my other pregnancies, I couldn't get anything down unless it was wrapped in bread. But with this pregnancy with Tyga, I would get super gnarly heartburn every time I ate bread. And I actually developed it in Europe. You can make gluten-free pizza. Cauliflower with tomato sauce on it is not pizza though. Okay, let's go.
I just finished a piano workbook for young beginner pianists and I want to do spiral bound printing. Do you have any tips for print on demand that do spiral bound but are as easy to work with as Amazon?
So I love spiral bound books. And if you have the vision for spiral bound, like hold the line, make it spiral bound, stick to it. I would recommend watching that resource that we did with the sourcing queen. But hang on one second. Hey Dad, do me a favor. Downstairs in our library, the one that's over the brown chair, not the by the window, over the brown chair by the window. There's a spiral bound book on the top right hand side. It's called the Magdalene manuscript. It's in spiral bound. Just look for the spiral bound spine and bring it to me, will you? Let me see where Magdalene manuscript printed their spiral bound because it's such an interesting option for them, especially because they had it in paperback. It's interesting to me that they chose spiral bound, but I'll look at this copy right now for you. I absolutely like hold the line, hold the vision, because you can get it done. Sourcing Queen can make it happen. You'll probably make a little bit more money than you would on Amazon. It's a little bit more a pain in the ass, but definitely. And I'm actually in the market for a piano resource for kids. So because I also want to use it, I'm no better. I taught myself piano when I was like 9 years old. I'm not better at piano 30 years later than I'm like have stayed the same. And so I actually want to learn the basics and improve my pianoing. We sing lullabies to Gooey on the piano at night. That's something that we've been singing a lot. But I want to get better at the piano. And so if you send it to mommy at mommyonami.com. But maybe once I look at what you have, maybe there'd be a really good option for the book launch. Okay, let's see. Magdalene manuscript has printed. This is definitely self-done because I don't see anything on here. This is the 7th edition and Orb Communications. Orb Communication is in Orcas, Washington. That's where she lives. So this is definitely self. Yeah. So this is self-published as far as I can tell. Cool. So for you, I would just look into that conversation with the sourcing queen. You'll feel so empowered afterwards. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Let's just look in our chat here and see. Love the Bop It video. You have a question?
Yeah. Can I have sound on the phone?
Yeah, you can put sound on. That's fine with me. Phonics. All
I
right,
have a
cool.
question for you, Saraswati.
Yeah.
Do you and Pure have sunglasses?
We do.
Okay. You want to bring them to Costa Rica?
Yeah, you
We
want to
both-
bring them to Costa Rica for the
Face shield on the
ATV.
on the four-wheeler. Facial.
Okay,
Bandana.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, all right. We'll all see each other very soon. Okay, I think we'll just wrap this up and let it be easy. I have some book chapters to record today. Want to thank you all so much for being here. As usual, we will be back next Friday with live Q&A. Let me just double check the date on that because we are flying.
Next Friday is the 4th of July.
Friday is the 4th of July. You know what, Saraswati? I think that we'll do Q&A via voice memo next week as well, just because people are going to be, we don't celebrate 4th of July, but
But we will light things on fire.
our Hamlet, what's Ashura? What's Ashura on this holiday on the 6th? Does anyone know? Isn't there a band called Ashura? Probably. Anyways, okay, let's stop wasting all of your time with this hemming and hawing. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And we sound like Chat GPT, all of these filler words. All right.